Thanks for joining us. Hi, my name is Allan Poore. I'm here to welcome you on behalf of Unity Wētā Tools. We've got an exciting keynote session planned for you. We're going to talk about character creation, environment building, rendering, and compositing, and we'll show you how we can enhance and accelerate your creativity. But before we dive in, let's see some of the great work artists have already created with our tools. Thanks. I always love watching those breakdowns to see how our tech was used in films. I find them fascinating. Now, we have a lot to talk about here today. We also have a couple very special guests joining us who are going to share some exciting developments in open standards. And Joe Letteri is joining us to talk about the incredible work being done at Wētā FX. And of course, we'll show you all the new tech here in a minute. There was a time when many of these tools were only available at the very highest level of cinematic production. But that's changing. Many of the tools that we're going to look at today used to be exclusive to top-tier VFX houses, but now, as Unity Wētā Tools, we're working to make them available and accessible to everybody. By that, I mean more than just bringing them to market. This requires building trusted 3D creation tools that meet you where you are and amplify your creativity by putting the best possible tools in your tool set. This is why Wētā Digital joined Unity Technologies 2 years ago. The Unity engine enables millions of creators to bring the vision to life in amazing real-time experiences. So let's look at some of the numbers of Unity. There's amazing stats here, about 4 billion downloads per month of the Unity runtime. 70% of the top 1,000 games, mobile games, are made with Unity, and there's thousands of new projects being created every day. That's the spirit and innovation, empowering creativity that is still at the very heart of what we do. At Unity, we've always believed the world is a better place with more creators in it. And that's the spirit of what we're bringing to Unity Wētā Tools. We've shaped our vision by strategically investing in key solutions over the past few years. The Wētā Digital acquisition brought the team and the tech behind many iconic films to Unity. So now we can give our storytellers the ability to reach their full creative potential using the best VFX tools in the industry. Next, we doubled down by acquiring Ziva Dynamics, which makes incredible tools for animating creatures and characters. We also folded in SpeedTree, the industry standard for creating vegetation and stunning natural environments. You may have noticed our new logo, and I want to take a moment to talk about what we're building here. Our vision is to amplify what you're able to create with a collection of tools that play nicely together and perform well across all major 3D engines and DCCs. So we're building a trusted set of professional tools, but we're also evolving our solutions to make them accessible to creators at all skill levels. All this starts with making 3D creation tools that meet you where you are. This means supporting your preferred digital content creation tools and workflows through standards-based interoperability and integrations. So regardless of your preferred software, whether it's Maya, Houdini, Nuke, or any other content creation tool, we're focused on making it feel like you can achieve anything. To do this, we're building bridges between interconnected systems by actively working with key partners toward integration and compatibility. One way to achieve this is using USD-based interchangeable data. USD is a game changer in my mind, and I've invited my good friend Steve May from Pixar to talk a bit more about why. I've had the pleasure of working with Steve for more than almost 20 years, and a good part of that was at Pixar, which of course is known for its incredible innovation in this space, and USD is one of its greatest contributions to the community. I welcome Steve to come on up here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Allan. We've known each other so long, apparently we're starting to dress the same. So that's kind of funny. It's great to be here always, especially talking about this. I'm here to give a quick overview of a topic that's been gaining incredible momentum across film, gaming, and other industries. It's called USD, which stands for Universal Scene Description. USD is revolutionizing the way we author and exchange 3D content. It's a technology that Pixar and Unity Wētā Tools are collaborating closely on. And we want to establish USD as a wide standard for 3D content authoring. Now, this collaboration is driven by a shared vision to empower creators everywhere with a unified and efficient workflow. Designed for multi-user editing, pipelines dealing with massive quantities of content, efficiency, dependency tracking, and customization, Pixar's USD has been meticulously crafted by creators for creators. It embodies the wisdom gained through years of production testing and use. And this validation in film production ensures that USD is not just a theoretical concept, but a practical solution that can truly enhance the way we create and collaborate. USD solves a lot of logistical problems for artists. It's designed for multi-user editing. It handles massively complex 3D content. It's very efficient. It tracks dependencies. And it provides different ways to customize its capabilities. It's designed by our engineers working directly with Pixar artists and has been validated in productions like Coco, Soul, and Elemental. And this workflow scales from prototype to indie team to big budget production. USD offers a lot of benefits for content creators. First, it's collaborative. It makes it easy for creatives to work together across large and small teams, across all supported authoring environments for a single asset or a large scene concurrently. It's also easy to adopt. New workflows and content pipelines doesn't mean starting from scratch. Existing assets can just be reused in collaborative workflows without changing the content you already have. And it's seamless. Content moves smoothly across all supported authoring environments, losslessly and bidirectionally. It's also predictable. All data is composed with cohesive, predictable rules. And last, it's portable. Regardless of the authoring environment, content displays consistently across creator tools. At Pixar, it's been incredibly exciting and rewarding to see the impact that USD is having across film, gaming, and other industries. We created USD to serve Pixar artists and animators by giving them the best possible creative tools to do their work. And I'm very excited to say that we recently announced the Alliance for OpenUSD, where we will work alongside the other founding members. So there's Pixar, Apple, NVIDIA, Adobe, and Autodesk, and with general members like Unity to help build OpenUSD into an international standard. By leveraging and investing in USD and becoming a member of the Alliance for OpenUSD, Unity Wētā Tools is joining forces with Pixar and other member companies to make USD a standard for 3D content authoring everywhere. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing all the amazing work this heightened collaboration will help you create. Enjoy the rest of the keynote, and I'll see you around SIGGRAPH. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. We're so excited about the vision of open standards like USD, helping artists easily exchange their data and collaborate freely. I'll touch on this more in a minute. But first of all, hi. My name is Natalya Tatarchuk, and I've been at Wētā Tools since its inception. I'm excited to share what we've been working on for quite a while. Let's take a look at how we're supporting USD. I'm thrilled to share that we will be releasing improved USD import and support for Unity Editor. We will continue to evolve it, ensuring seamless interoperability with other 3D content tools in the open ecosystem. Now here, you can see how we're bringing the A-Lab from Animal Logic into Unity, supporting workflows for scenes including animated objects and more. Now USD is just one of the ways that we help you stay in the creative flow by meeting you where you are. But we also have dedicated tools to help you collaborate more easily together, like Parsec, which enables teams to work anywhere through efficient low latency remote desktop, and SyncSketch, which streamlines review and feedback cycles to accelerate execution and time to decision. By the way, we're going to show you a ton of showcases that we've made internally in our team, and every single one heavily relied on SyncSketch and Parsec. We obsess about your creative iteration, streamlining and polishing it to give you a rich playground for your creativity with Unity Wētā Tools. And the reason we do this is so your vision is right there at your fingertips, without any interruptions, without stalls, or without dependencies that could disrupt your flow. One example of the principle in action is compositor's workflow. Now, this work, and many of you are familiar with this work begins where many other departments, layout, creatures, effects, lighting, and so forth, are finished. During the final stages of VFX production, yet often, when film production enters this phase, compositors don't feel the creative freedom of the open sandbox to get their vision through. They discover that in order to make a needed change, they require adjustments. They require a round trip through all of the departments to go back to earlier phases in the pipeline, to re-render, or maybe even having to resimulate, relight, and re-render again. Now this, of course, creates a huge disruption and dependencies on all of those departments. Some of them may have moved on to somewhere else, some different work. Now at Wētā, the realization that this flow could be so much better resulted in a tool set for deep compositing. And it was developed by SciTech Oscar winner, Dr. Peter Hillman, and honed over the last 10 years in some of the most demanding productions at Wētā FX. Let's take a look. Now today, 95% of all Wētā FX productions use Deep, which not only makes it easier to create complex visuals, it is also designed to give compositors that powerful playground to help them stay in the flow. It accomplishes that by storing objects and their color depth in the scene separately. So if you make a change to one part of your scene, everything around it stays the same. If you remove something from the foreground, for example, the objects that were hidden behind it would be revealed. Now this way, it eliminates the need to re-render your scene anytime you make these changes. So compositors can stay in the flow without needless round trips and dependencies. Wētā Tools Deep Compositing is a plugin for Nuke that gives us unprecedented flexibility, adding more than 80 nodes and workflows, and that number continues to increase. It offers a wide range of workflows. For example, simplifies working with volumes, translucent or reflective materials, and other complex visuals like God rays or mist to misty rain and more. Now, while Deep has been around for a decade as a concept, for the first time, Unity is bringing Wētā's extensive toolset of deep compositing to the public. Now this scene, thank you. It is a huge milestone. We're excited. Now this scene on the right from Wētā FX avatar, The Way of Water, has a ton of complexity for compositing, including a large foreground element along with a character, a group of dynamic flying creatures, and so much more. Taming this incredibly complex shot with traditional compositing means holdouts, requiring those re-renders. And this creates a lot of overhead, keeping track of all of the changes, all the versions. No one likes that. With deep compositing, deep images store multiple objects along with their depth, color, and that eliminates the need to render holdouts altogether. So a change in a single part of the scene doesn't require re-rendering anything else. With its flexibility, you can select which renderers you use for any element in the scene. So for example, if your background isn't particularly detailed, you can use a fast but lower quality renderer to save you time. Or you could use a renderer that's very good at doing volume, saving render time, giving you flexible iteration. You are in a driver's seat. You also get more accurate compositing operations because you can isolate an object, or even a part of one, from the ones behind it for post-processing. All of this gives you greater flexibility when you're planning your scene. And it reduces the chances of human error since occlusions, holdouts, and assembly are factored in automatically. So deep compositing gives you a lot of control as well as efficiency. And we want to make it easy for anyone, independently of their pipeline, to benefit from what deep compositing has to offer. To do that, we want any renderer available, commercially or private pipelines, to be able to output standardized deep IDs. And we're working to establish that as a better standard than Cryptomat. Deep also creates quite a lot of data through the pipeline. So to help that, we're innovating on a machine learning-based deep data compression for deep images. Our plan is to contribute it to the OpenEXR standard to make it accessible to everyone. Now there's another addition to the compositing workflow that we're excited to share with you. Eddy is a Nuke plugin that helps you simulate complex gaseous effects, like fire, smoke, atmospherics, and so much more. It's designed to create denoise and render volumetric effects in context. It is a GPU-powered tool that harnesses NVIDIA technology, and it gives you a lot more control during that last production phase of compositing. You can work in shot context, creating effects elements exactly as you need them, while seeing everything that might affect it in one place. As I said, Eddy is GPU-powered, so you get immediate visual feedback without having to wait for the renders. You also have access to Eddy's built-in library of effects templates. You can also create your custom template library for reusable custom presets. You, of course, can also tap into deep rendering for your purposes. It also has best-in-class volumes denoiser, and it's about to get even better. Eddy 3.0 is coming this November. The new version will ship with a new optics-based rendering core, incorporating the same fast volume integrators, as well as hard surface rendering, allowing you to output those crucial shadow and reflection passes. Finally, this version's improved denoising will also help you to achieve fast turnaround times. No small feat. We want you to explore this tech as we keep working on it. Our beta program is now open. You can scan this QR code to express your interest in trying Deep and Eddy for yourself. Please do. We can't wait to hear from you. Now, we're going to have an awesome Eddy talk with Ronnie Menahem here at SIGGRAPH. Deep workflows are incredibly detailed, and he's going to tell you all about it. Now, these workflows really help creators to stay in a creative flow better, longer, iterate on their vision. And especially they do this in the tools where compositors already love working, like Nuke. Now let's take a look at more of Unity's Wētā Tools collection. I tell you, multiple decades in, and I don't know about you, but I never get bored of seeing how much magic goes into what becomes incredible visual imagery. And of course, we're so excited to see what you are going to be able to do with it. Now, at Unity Wētā Tools, we believe in helping artists of all skill levels, like Allan mentioned earlier, to be their most creative through assisted artistry. Now, I'm a graphics engineer. I'm not really considering myself an artist. I certainly don't consider myself an accomplished 3D artist. I dabble. But when I want to create a project with Unity tools, like a game for my daughter, for example, I really appreciate that I can use assisted artistry quickly to generate art using configurable assets and then refine and personalize them exactly for what I'm trying to do. And that's exactly the point of assisted artistry, to help any artist of any skill bring out the best of what's in them, their vision, their creativity to life. Nothing, though, can replace human creativity. The only limiting factor is your vision. And what we're doing is we're putting the power of configurable content, proceduralism, and AI-assisted workflows in your hands. Now, proceduralism is hardly a new concept. This is a foundational principle for computer graphics, and for God's sakes, we're at SIGGRAPH. This is where it was revealed. It can power the creation of so many amazing content types, whether it's environment, vegetation, hair, to so much more. And we see how proceduralism is super useful for artists in SpeedTree, which has become an industry standard for procedural vegetation authoring. We recently unveiled the latest version of SpeedTree, 9.5, available now and packed with powerful new features. Let's take a look at what you can achieve. Thank you. SpeedTree is a suite of vegetation modeling tools and configurable assets that's been proven in many blockbuster productions, film, and games. And here is just a few. It mixes procedural generation with manual art direction with a rich set of powerful features, from supporting wind, growth, changes through seasons, to make vegetation come alive. It also supports easy creation of asset variety with built-in randomization tools, simplicity of authoring for any fidelity, VFX or real time, as well as creation of assets for a wide range of platforms scalably with built-in LOD, all the while knowing that your edits are safe in a convenient, non-destructive editing workflows. Now, the interesting thing is each SpeedTree asset is a procedural, configurable asset stored in a SpeedTree procedural model, or SPM. It is a compact model format where each file can actually generate limitless shapes and seasonal variations, with each variation automatically having support for realistic wind, multiple polygonal resolutions that are based on that procedural representation. And with SpeedTree, you already can bring your model directly to other DCCs by exporting it via USD to fit your pipeline as needed. But we're also evolving support for the full procedural capabilities of SpeedTree via USD with our next evolution, to enable full integration into DCCs like Maya or Houdini, where artists will be able to modify any properties directly in that DCC without having to do a round trip. Another new feature in SpeedTree 9.5 is the projector, which procedurally places details on model surfaces with efficient, realistic distribution. So whether you're adding a delicate layer of moss or freshly fallen snow that's supposed to settle on the tree branches accurately, these details appear to naturally accumulate on surfaces automatically. We're also working on integrating SpeedTree smart rules into Unity editor. So not only you can change appearance and shape of the tree directly in the editor, like you see here, but as you edit your level, the SpeedTree rules intelligently adjust the asset based on the available context without much effort on your part. You move the tree into the water, guess what? It withers, it dies, as it would in real life. Or here, we decide to move some trees, what the heck, we're going to put them next to a radioactive waste, and they automatically die. This is pretty darn cool and incredibly convenient. And so stay tuned to hear more about this capability soon. SpeedTree already has a massive library of configurable vegetation assets, which you can bring, as I said, to any DCC or runtime engine. We're also making it easier to quickly modify each asset with an accessible app that doesn't require you to be trained on a skill-intensive full modeler, using the same smart rules. Now, this means that anybody can take this vegetation and within minutes make it their own. We're also adding more artistic control over vegetation with styling modifiers. Again, accessible either through simple curated controls or with the full power of procedural graph. Another area we're innovating is for tools for environment creation, to create rich environments quickly. Wētā Scenic Designer helps you create setup that replicate complex relationships between objects found in the real world in a straightforward workflow. Now, Scenic, of course, has been used in countless productions by Wētā FX. Today, Scenic Designer offers a vast number of options on how to build and partition worlds with any mix of procedural and customized environments. You can use splines to define pathways. You can use a volume to define boundaries. You can use a texture to control different scatter attributes. It has support for expressions for more advanced users. Now, with ray tracing-based scatter, input geometry can stay dynamic throughout edits to adapt to any changes automatically. But these rich worlds would feel very empty if they're not brought to life with characters. Let's take a look. Now, our character tools offer incredible creative control to shape behavior and movement that elevates a digital character performance with simple integration to any workflow. These tools have been used extensively by artists to deliver on the most demanding productions. Now, we start with Ziva VFX, which is part of our offering. It enables characters and creature 2Ds to achieve unparalleled quality with simulated deformations, stylized or realistic, from lifelike muscles and soft tissues to skin, cloth, and material simulations. Ziva VFX enables the creation of stunning and believable digital characters with a state-of-the-art simulation capabilities. Now, for the Oscar-nominated animated film Sea Beast, the team at Sony Picture Imageworks used Ziva VFX to solve soft tissue simulation for several characters. Red, Blue, the Warbler, and other characters had unique requirements. For Red, the team used Ziva VFX to preserve clean, beautiful volumes throughout her performance when changing creative direction. Blue needed to hit art-directed shapes with bone and fat and no muscle. The warbler needed to feel like it belongs on the water, even when it was on land. Now, in one scene, the crustacean fights alongside Red. The semi-dynamic gums and sharp teeth were simulated with Ziva VFX. You can learn more about how the team achieved these incredible characters in a dedicated session later this week with Brian Cohen, head of character setup for the film. Check it out. Now, for this release, we looked into what it takes to achieve high-quality simulation results. And the core challenges are typically slow iteration and fickle simulation setups. So we tackled those head-on. With Ziva VFX 2.0, we're enabling full-scope simulation with NVIDIA GPU acceleration for improved iteration, cutting down simulation times by 2 to 3 times. This allows you to see results much faster with the same uncompromising quality. Now, simulations today can often have unstable results because of a lack of robust collisions, which can be complex to set up, especially and manage throughout all the changes in the production. With the latest release, the new continuous collision detection functionality makes it easier to set up, and the resulting simulation becomes more robust and accurate while still maintaining realistic interactions. This means that you can get robust results right away. It just works. Now, you can get Ziva VFX 2.2 today. Now, nearly every character, whether human or creature, is covered with fur. OK, I'm just kidding. I mean, many characters need grooming. And to help with that, Wig to the rescue. It is available in beta today and will be released in Q4. This tool combines the power of procedural authoring with flexible artist directability for hair and fur grooming. Now, here, you can see Wig used in the avatar, The Way of Water by Wētā FX. Wig is an Academy Award-winning suite of hair and fur grooming tools, battle-tested on the most demanding productions at Wētā FX for over a decade. It is a Maya plugin that integrates seamlessly into existing pipelines, and it has a quick and intuitive setup using procedural and skull-based workflows. It supports easy topology changes. This allows you for quick transfer of grooms to new characters. And it gives you incredible creative control for digital hair and fur. Now, it's based on guide curve setup to control many millions of hair strands as groups. But of course, guide curves can limit artistic control as well. You could see in the example here where the artist needs to do a lot of work to clean up rogue hair, force the strands under that hairpin. Now, of course, Wig is different because it enables easy authoring workflows where you can paint the attributes on a strand level for real-time visual feedback. Now, using eccentricity brush, for example, to add stray hairs directly where I want to. It also enables you to comb individual hairs, even if they're connected to the guide curves. And you can sculpt them individually for full artistic freedom and directability. Or you can comb all the hair directed, vary band parameters, the entire groom if you want to. It makes it incredibly quick with a few strokes to get it done. It's flexible. Now, since Wig is procedural, it also makes it easy to quickly create separate sets of hair strands for simulation purposes from rendering. Artists can generate simulation curves based on the clumps, and it gives the freedom both to groom artists and to the simulation artist with full control that achieves performance needs that are necessary for each stage of the pipeline to be effective. And this is true both for VFX as well as real-time simulation. Now, Wig supports USD, which means grooms can be easily brought into other DCCs, such as Houdini, or real-time engines like Unity and Unreal, and any other custom simulation workflows or engines for your production needs. Solving one of the biggest challenges that requires round trips for grooming, we enable support for full procedural data with Wig grooms through USD. This lets you edit the groom's properties directly in a DCC, like what you see in Houdini, removing that unnecessary back and forth. You can change attributes like extracting or rebuilding clumps, guide curves, or attributes like frizziness. Now, as we talk about assisted artistry, another important part of that was AI-assisted workflows. At Wētā Tools, we've been doing machine learning for quite a long time for content creation, and we've seen what a huge difference this technology can make for authoring content, both for editing and runtime. Yet again, nothing can replace human creativity. And I firmly believe, throughout all of my career, Beautiful graphics can't come to life and wouldn't really even mean anything without the creative force of the artist. Only an artist can bring the spark of life to an algorithm that without their touch, and we all live this as engineers, it will just merely twinkle and kind of fall on the ground. But with their work, these simple sparks can rise up and become stars. And we're focused on giving you the best tools to unleash what you already have in you, that incredible vision and creativity, and bringing it to the whole world to appreciate. Now, to help illustrate some of the AI-assisted workflows, I'll introduce you to Samir. Built on using the latest Ziva VFX for high-quality biomechanical simulation with physically based grooms with Wig, and brought into real-time scene with Unity using Ziva RT. Another character we worked on is this uber-cute Nova the cat, the expressive feature animation quality creature with rich soft tissue simulation and believable movement in real time. We use Ziva VFX ability to art direct those rest shapes while still running accurate physical simulation, preserving collisions and volumes. And of course, we use Ziva RT to bring it to real time in Unity. Now, speaking of Ziva RT, it is a superb encoder for highest quality deformations, resulting in efficient, compact neural network asset, scalable to a wide range of platforms. You can kind of think of it as an FFmpeg encoder for high fidelity deformations. With a small set of deformations, just as Alembics, they can come from anywhere. You can bring them from Houdini, Ziva VFX, and a skeleton. You train a neural network encoding for the entire latent space of possible deformation in just a few minutes on a typical artist workstation, and it learns the mapping from skeleton pose to mesh shape during training. Now, at runtime, you sample this network for any given frame using the skeleton pose, and out comes the high-quality mesh shape for that pose. And of course, the wonderful thing about it is not only how quality it is, and you can see some of the differences versus the traditional techniques, but also the incredibly small footprint. It takes deformations from several hundreds of megabytes or gigabytes down to maybe 10 megabytes footprint without compromising quality. Now, you might think, great, this is awesome for real time. It's clearly made for games, but it's capable of so much more. You can use it to speed up animation time, for example, in Maya. Here, we're doing this by plugging it into Maya Deformer Network, and the animator is able to animate to see full results of simulation in milliseconds, instead of waiting for their results, or even not even having simulation results present. You can animate with final skinning and the full quality deformations. And this is a completely different way to create. You also can use Ziva RT for high fidelity cloth deformations in real time. That helps you create the believable clothing results that really, frankly, none of the solvers in real time are able to achieve for expensive, complex layered clothing. And it gives you that stretching and pulling that's too expensive for real time. Ziva RT is also a foundation for other workflows. For example, a Ziva Face Trainer, which is a cloud-based workflow for rigging using ML-trained face puppets. It makes face rigging scalable and efficient with high-quality machine learning deformations and automatic face rig generation. It's a pretty straightforward workflow. You grab a mesh, scanned or sculpted, you register it, and then run it on a cloud for about an hour, and you get back your fully trained puppet. It saves you months of creating the rig manually by an expert rigger. This puppet was built on a neural network-based facial muscle model that automatically extracts regions of influence that results in a very easy and intuitive controls for the facial deformation, like you see here. And it removes a lot of the fax limitations that are plaguing animators. And you can also live edit the animations on this puppet, directly modifying real-time performances. For example, using from Maya to Unity. Now, our demo team is currently creating a new project using all of these Wētā tools. Like I said, we love dog fooding, integrated into a Unity-based real-time production. I was able to get an early sneak peek out of the new piece, so you can see how some of them were used in the context. The character and the creature shown in this video were built and brought to life using Ziva and Wig from Wētā Tools, and then brought to Unity Editor for real-time experience. Stay tuned for more from our demo team on this project. And now, it is my pleasure, first to free you guys from listening to me for such a long time, but more importantly, to introduce Joe Letteri. I'm sure for most of you, all of you, Joe needs no introduction whatsoever. He's been my personal inspiration for a long time. And of course, his name is synonymous with groundbreaking visual effects. He's won 5 Academy Awards for Best Visual Effects, most recently in his work for Avatar: The Way of Water. His pioneering techniques and relentless pursuit of realism have left an indelible mark on the industry. Here's Joe.
Thank you, Natalya. Thank you, everyone, for coming. It's great seeing all that stuff working, especially after all these years. I'm going to give you a taste of the front end of it when things don't work so well, but you know, what we set out to do based on what we're asked to do on a film. And Avatar was a pretty complex film. You know, we worked on it for 5 or 6 years, so I'm not going to cover all of the R&D that we had to go through, but I'll just give you a taste of a few of them. Let's start off with water, because it was called The Way of Water. And the first thing we had to do was figure out how we were going to shoot these characters in water. And Jim was adamant that we were doing this in water. There was not going to be any dry for wet. So we built a tank. We built a very big tank. And we could, basically we had 2 volumes. One was ultraviolet under the water to handle the blue absorption. The red absorption in the water. One was infrared above the water. We put the 2 tanks together. We had a layer of essentially ping pong balls on the water surface to kill the inner reflections. And you can see how much that really influences the actor's performance, right? It was very important that they be buoyant, that they could swim, that they could actually perform the characters in the water. Now, one of the ways they did that is they did really long training on how to hold their breath. They did a lot of freediving training. I think Kate Winslet pulled a world record 6.5 minutes of holding her breath. So it's pretty outstanding. Sigourney could do 5, I know, but they would shoot for about a minute at a time for safety reasons. You dive, you have to let the bubbles clear. There couldn't be any scuba active because that would mess with the motion capture cameras, and then they would run their takes. So we also did some real world testing. This was in the Bahamas with a device called a generator. And this was to really get some idea of when you're on the flying creatures, what the pose is going to look like, how they would enter the water, how they would deal with all of those things. This is an example of how that would have translated to a shot in the film. All right, now I'm going to touch on another piece of software that got used a lot in the film, but you don't actually see in the film. And it's related to the deep compositing that Natalya was talking about earlier. We started developing these deep compositing tools, the idea that there's depth per pixel, for the first Avatar. That's when we really used them. And that was a lot of necessity because we were shooting native stereo. Now, as we were shooting, we developed this whole virtual production methodology back on film 1. One of the aspects of it was called simulcam, where Jim picks up a camera and we're shooting on a real stage, but he wants to see the characters integrated. And we always have to do that with a layer. You pull a blue screen, you pull a green screen, you put your CG character above or behind. Very, very complicated process. What we hope to get out of this show was a way to do that a little bit more automatically. So we wanted to see if we could extend the idea of deep pixels and deep compositing to real time. So what you're seeing here is actually the test that we showed Jim as a proof of concept to see if this would fly. So on the left is our plate, and on the right we see that we've got set extensions, we've got our CG characters, they're both going around each other. Everything fits together because what we're doing is getting a pixel, depth per pixel. Now the way we did that is we shot dozens and dozens of actors in dozens and dozens of poses and dozens of costumes. We threw those all together into a deep learning network to learn what the characters would be. And then we did the same thing for the sets. We photographed all the sets and ran a network on those and put them all together. Then we convinced Jim to put these 2 machine vision cameras on top of the main rig. It's quite a heavy rig, and you can see Jim likes to shoot a lot of the movie himself handheld. So this added about an extra pound of weight, but he was okay with it, because what it let us do was things like this. You can see that we can take the stereo feed, run it through our network, and extract depth per pixel. And that would give us essentially a deep compositing mat, and we ran our deep compositing tools real time inside of Gazebo, which is our real-time renderer that we use for virtual production. So the way that would work on set is this. Here's a shot. The spider cam rig that you're seeing is where our CG character is going to be. It's an eye-line system that we used. So the motion is fed in for the CG character. That way everyone can frame to it. We insert the CG character depth-wise into the scene. So you're seeing that breakdown from the side there. Here's our character Quaritch inserted into the scene. Now you can see, because we're doing this in real time at 1K, it's kind of noisy, but it works. So when Jim is shooting, this is what he's seeing through the camera. He's seeing set extensions, he's seeing the CG character correctly layered behind the foreground character, he's seeing all the monitors, it's all in place there. This became such a valuable tool that Jim would not shoot without it. Like if for some reason this system was down, we waited to get it working. It was great for him, it was great for all the other camera operators, it was great for everyone doing like the stereography on set. It was all right there. It worked so well that we decided to extend the concept. What we did is we put a few more cameras all around so that we could get depth really volumetrically. Because a lot of what you have to do is you've got to have interaction between characters in a scene. And so that allowed us to really know in space where each pixel was, so we could make that hand contact really lock down. The other area that it really worked for us was with the water itself. Because with water, it's hard to recreate, right? We're shooting in a tank like this. This is for a live action shot, and we have to extend this water. Now, that's hard to do. You can't scan it, it's hard to match up. It's hard for the effects team to match up. But we wanted to just see if this technology would work for it anyway. So what we did is we ran hundreds of simulations, of water simulations, and fed these into the deep compositing network. And that allowed us to train a system that could give us a pretty good extraction of the water. So in the upper left here, you're seeing the plate. On the upper right, you're seeing our live depth extraction, showing the water surface and showing our characters. So on the bottom left, that's our simulation pass, where we're integrating it, and on the bottom right is the final shot. All right, and I think we need 10 minutes. Are we good? All right, I think that's all I've got time for, unless someone tells me I'm wrong. We can keep going? Okay. All right, I will keep going. All right, so the other thing that we came up with was a new way of doing facial animation, and we called that an anatomically plausible facial system, because we write a lot of software at Wētā. We don't spend a lot of time naming it. So, so that worked for us. And this was mentioned before, but if you've worked with any kind of facial animation, working with a fax system, you're really struck by its limitations. And after 20 years, I wanted to make them go away. This is one of the problems that we're trying to solve. You can see this dynamic scan here that was done from Rosa Salazar from Alita Battle Angel, and it's got things in it that are really hard to capture when you're animating. You've got rotations, you've got face coming together. You've got you've got dynamics that can only be explained by understanding what the muscles are doing under the face. And it's a very complex system and very difficult to solve physically. But if you understand the lines of actions of what the muscles are doing, you can come up with a solution, and that's what we did with this system. So we looked at running, for example, a forward solve, doing the physics to see what you could get. Yes, you could achieve, good results, but it's very difficult to use. So we started to validate the concept of what the muscles are actually doing and how they're interrelated. And you can see here as we're pulling on one muscle, we're seeing other muscles also activate. And the idea that started to come to mind is if you graph all these muscles together, if you pull on one and see what the other ones are doing, if you really look at that, you quickly come to understand that this is a fully connected network. And a fully connected network is very easily described with a neural network. And so that's what we did. But the key to this system is rather than letting the network find the latent space for us, we used what we knew to define the latent space. We've forced the network to work in the latent space that we want it to work in. And that's what you're seeing here. We defined the latent space. Anything that the muscles couldn't account for, we built what are called pseudo-muscles, and they would account for things like collisions, like secondary effects. But they allowed us to encode the whole state of the face. And the way we did that is we would take an actor's scan, fit a skull to it, put a volume in between, embed the muscles, and measure the strain differentials. And so this strain space was really the key to training our system. You're seeing it here on a scan of Sigourney. So we had a mesh for her, which was the second from the right. We embedded the muscles over on the far right, measured the strains, and matched her performance on the left. The reason that's so valuable is you can see here, this is a very early keyframe test. Our keyframes, if you look at the bottom, are just linear keyframes. But we're getting nice motion out of the face in two regards. We're seeing local rotations and we're seeing fall off. In other words, you're seeing the influence of every muscle on the face influencing every other muscle. And the reason that works, it's because we're doing the interpolation directly in strain space. We're using a conditional variational autoencoder under the hood and using what we know, again, to guide that. We would start with about 7,000 curated frames of each of the actors and then add in other poses that we encountered during the shoot. Here, for example, we're doing direct manipulation of the manifold itself. And again, this is great because it shows that if you target the interpolation through strain space, you get really nice, believable results. I'll show you how that works in a shot. I'm going to take Sigourney as an example because Sigourney had something unique in that she was playing a 14-year-old. And so we had to basically create a character that was based on a younger version of herself. So we studied other movies of her. We got her to basically do these performances for us, and we created that puppet version, which we could then transfer here. Now, the whole premise of this is you solve the actor then becomes the performer of the character, right? There's no loss, there's no one-to-one. We make the character's muscles do exactly what the actor's muscles were doing.
They took him. They took him.
All right, that's Sigourney performing. Now you see here, what we were able to do was to use that depth extraction that I pointed out earlier to recreate a per frame mesh of her. So we knew exactly what she was doing. And we solved that. And then we did the transfer that I just showed you onto her character. And then we finished it off in the shot. And I've got not enough time to show you the movie, so I will pass it back over to Allan. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Joe. It's amazing to see these tools in action. And thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the keynote and has provided insight into what we're doing in the upcoming work we hope to share with all of you. But before we all get up, we have one last thing we want to show you, some great new work happening with AI that Natasha's going to come up here and give us a quick demo of. It's a little fun before we all leave for the day.
Now, of course, characters are at the heart of storytelling. Joe told you quite a lot about the amazing need for it. And we use a lot of the Wētā characters tools and workflows to create the character you're about to see in a minute, authored to the high fidelity bar and brought to life by AI in Unity. The one thing I want to tell you about it is what you're about to see, nothing about its performance is canned. The animations, the conversations, the interactions are completely live, dynamic, generated on device right below this podium, on a PC, on a keynote stage at 30 FPS, that's powered by Unity Centis, and also seen in compelling detail running on the latest NVIDIA RTX 4090 GPU, using text-to-speech technology from Replica. What you'll see is a sneak peek of new technologies we've been working on to bring next-level dynamism interaction with characters. But it is entirely live. We're all about to experience this together, and we'll see what the creature will have to tell us. So if we can switch, thank you. Hello.
Hello.
What's your name?
My name is Orb. I'm an alien coming from the planet Zalberg.
What brings you here?
I came here to observe and learn about your civilization. I am interested in how you manage your resources and how you balance technological advancements with environmental concerns. I hope to gain insight into how other civilizations operate and what lessons we can learn from each other.
Now, the interesting thing here is we're dynamically generating voice from the chat conversation. And there's ability to switch to completely different voices, creating a different experience. And the animations will adjust based on the response and the emotionality of the voice. So here's another example. In a fight, who would win, Superman or Batman?
Superman would win because he has super strength, flight, heat vision, X-ray vision, freeze breath, and super speed. Batman also has some superpowers, but not as many as Superman.
What Disney princess would you be?
I would be Tina from The Princess and the Frog.
All right.
She is a hard-working waitress who dreams of owning her own restaurant.
We know his
She
ambition.
is kind, compassionate, and loves to cook. She is also a talented musician and singer.
We have a fan. I have to say, she's an awesome character, so I kind of agree. And so you can see that it's entirely in real time. Like here I'm moving, a spotlight, so you can see that everything is running on device. Let's ask him a couple more questions. Do you prefer Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars. It has a better storyline and characters.
Hope we didn't offend too many people with that.
I understand.
Please let me know if there's anything I can help you with while you're away.
Thank you. How are you enjoying SIGGRAPH?
You're welcome. Have a good day.
He's had enough
It's
of
been
us.
a great experience so far. I've been able to meet many interesting people and see some amazing technology demonstrations. I've also had the opportunity to attend several talks by leading experts in the field of computer graphics and animation. Overall, it's been a fantastic opportunity to learn and grow as a professional in this industry.
Thank you very much.
No problem. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Best regards, all.
It's great because you're never really sure how that's going to go. So Got it turned out okay. Okay, that's really it, folks. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you'll join us for Unite later this year in November. Thank you.